Hey guys, it's Faye from Solar Flow, and I am back with an all-new video. Today's topic is a deep dive behind the veil psychic energy read into the life and mysterious disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Now, before we get into the energy reading on Amelia, I'm going to start by sharing some fundamental 3D information into who she was. Amelia Mary Earhart, born on July 24th, 1897, and who had disappeared on July 2nd, 1937, was an American aviation pioneer. During her lifetime, Earhart embraced celebrity culture and women's rights, and since her disappearance, she has become a global cultural figure. She was the first female pilot to fly solo nonstop across the Atlantic Ocean and set many other records. She was one of the first aviators to promote commercial air travel, wrote a best-selling book about her flying experiences, and was instrumental in the formation of the 99s, an organization for female pilots. Amelia Earhart was ahead of her time in more than just aviation, as she married George Putnam and told him in a letter she would not hold him to a code of faithfulness and would not consider herself bound to him as such either. She also believed in equal financial responsibilities for men and women, and she did not change her name to her husband's last name. In fact, she had laughed when she was referred to as Mrs. Putnam, and her husband soon discovered that he would frequently be called Mr. Earhart. In 1937, Amelia and her navigator, Fred Noonan, disappeared near Howland Island in the Central Pacific Ocean, where they were meant to refuel. It is generally believed that they ran out of fuel before they found the island and had crashed into the ocean. To date, their plane has never been found, and Amelia was declared dead on January 5th, 1939. Now, this concludes the 3D information into Amelia Earhart, and we are now going to be getting into the energy reading on her. As soon as I had connected to Amelia Earhart's energy, she had told me she wanted to be remembered. Perhaps more than anything else in life, this was the motivating drive and factor that pushed her. Growing up, she felt mostly ignored and sometimes even more of an afterthought. However, this feeling of being an afterthought mostly spurred her on in her desire to do more, to be seen and to be acknowledged, and therefore to be accomplished. And because she didn't have an entirely traditional upbringing, she did not receive repetitive statements about how a woman should or how a woman ought to act or behave. So she was essentially free to be. To exist outside dogma and strict societal norms, and to make up her life any way she wanted it to be. She did not even care how her life looked on the outside, only that it had real substance and real meaning, and that it was a life in which she could prove herself. And oh boy, did she prove herself. In the air was the time that she felt most free and most alive. The way it felt to her is how some souls had shared with me it feels to be out of their body when they are pure energy once again, as in expansive, not confined, and not restricted. Which is kind of ironic if you think about that's how Amelia Earhart felt when she was in the air, because the cockpit was so small, cramped, and cold, but none of that mattered. In many ways, she felt she did not belong in the world, and the only time the world and her place in it made sense was when she was above it and when she was removed from it. And she had shared with me that at times when she could not fly, she was a functional depressed person. And this was also a time before talking about mental health issues was a thing. No one spoke about it. You just did what you had to do and you kept going on, and therefore so did she. But being without a plane, or at times when she could not afford one, it did impact her mental and emotional health. And frankly, because of it, she did not want to live if flying could not be a part of her life. So this further spurred her on to have a life of meaning because it would entail her flying. And she had shared with me she was not interested per se having celebrity status, but she acknowledged if she did, that could just provide her the ability to fly more, which was in fact all she ever wanted. Being a celebrity meant nothing to her. Flying meant everything to her. So she saw being a so-called celebrity back in that day and age as a means to an end. Now, remember what I had said at the very beginning of the video, that more than anything, Amelia wanted to be remembered? So what better way for someone to be remembered than not growing old and fading from prominence, but always being remembered for disappearing? Now, I am not suggesting that Amelia Earhart consciously and deliberately orchestrated a disappearance for that purpose. Rather stating that on a soul level, she of course orchestrated a not long life and a mysterious disappearance, and that her personal desires very much aligned with her soul's purpose. So if this is the first you're hearing about a concept such as this, where a person can orchestrate a not long life that also includes a mysterious disappearance, I'm going to share with you that we are the cosmic creators of all of the experiences that we have in our lifetime. We are, if you will, the script writers of everything that we experience. We are also the casting agents, casting ourselves as the lead role into the so-called movie of our life, and also casting co-stars through our soul contracts and soul lessons that we agree to experience. So that's why I am sharing with you that her personal desires very much aligned with her soul's purpose. Because it was her soul as the cosmic script writer that had written this in for herself to experience in this lifetime as Amelia Earhart, but this is also something that aligned with her on a deeply fundamental level. Wanting to be remembered, and from her point of view, what better way for someone to be remembered than not growing old and fading from prominence, but being remembered for disappearing? So because her personal desires very much aligned with her soul's purpose, in this regard, her soul is very much at peace. And she shared with me that she does not have remorse nor regret, and she looks at her life and even her death as a success. So to that end, she did not feel the need to discuss with me what had in fact happened to her, her plane, or her navigator. But that did not stop me from asking her specific and pointed questions. Now, even though it is widely regarded that her plane did run out of fuel and crash into the ocean, there are a number of so-called conspiracies in what may have happened to her. And those are that she had landed someplace else and assumed an entirely new identity, or she was taken into custody by the Japanese, or, this is a weird one, she was eaten by crabs. So I asked her if she did assume another identity, and she just laughed that off. She simply said no to my question if she was captured by Japanese forces, and she rolled her eyes when I asked if she had been eaten by crabs. Now, I will also share with you that her energy is quite close to the Earth plane, which I would suggest means she did not go through a portal, as I have previously suggested may have happened to her prior to connecting to and reading her energy. So that pretty much leaves one conclusion. Her plane did in fact crash into the ocean upon running out of fuel. So when I asked her if this is the case, she just smirked but didn't answer. Because again, her life and her crossing out of her body, it was all a success. Because hasn't she in fact been remembered? So that concludes the energy reading into Amelia Earhart. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video, perhaps found it to be thought-provoking. I am going to remind you to please take what resonates, leave the rest behind, and this is your reminder until next time to stay in that high vibration.